50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Mites are the #1 leading cause of colony collapse in honeybees. And by the time your hive starts showing symptoms, it might be too late.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
In this video, I'm going to show you what to look for, how to treat, and what after treatment looks like so you don't lose your bees to their worst enemy. Before I show you how to inspect your hive, let me show you and introduce you to this
sensor, bleep, bleep.
parasitic mite. And that's when you put the bug right here. Okay. Parasitic mites, or Varroa mites, wipe out 60% of US hives annually. They feed on the
emotional damage.
They live on the bellies of the bees and feed off their fat and body tissue. They can cause debilitating issues like viruses and wing deformities, enabling the bees to not be able to fly. Oh, that's a beetle. Ew, look at that larva. Ew. They also cost the US $2 billion annually in lost pollination and honey.
Hello, I like money.
I obviously lost this hive to mites. Okay, so let's get into it. There's a big one in there. It's juicy too.
Hey, phrasing!
It's crawling in the fuzz. All right, so let's get into it. There's 3 obvious signs of mite infestation. So stick around for those 3 things and then one less obvious sign at the very end. Here we go. So the first sign of mite infestation when you inspect your hive is you're going to notice a spotty brood pattern. So you may have brood at the bottom of the hive and honey at the top, which is fine, but your brood will be really spotty, like some capped here, some brood over here, maybe some brood over here, and it won't be a consistent brood pattern. Ew. Oh God, they're just all in there. Wax moths. Another sign that you'll notice is undertaker bees dragging larvae out the front entrance. Undertaker bees are the bees that take care of a lot of the dead things that arrive in the hive. Or if you have larva loss, they'll drag those larvae out and they're called the undertaker bees. Each bee has a role in the hive. You've got your nurse bees, your drone bees, your forager bees, and there is a bee called an undertaker bee, and it deals with all of the dead things within the hive. Okay, the third sign of mite infestation is you'll notice a lot of crawling bees or bees that have wing deformities. No obvious wing deformities, but you'll notice that they're all crawling around the entrance or are unable to fly. The last less obvious sign of mites is that you'll notice pinholes in your brood, in your capped brood. So you'll have capped brood on a hive and tiny pinholes in that capped brood, indicating that mites are getting into your brood and laying their eggs in with the brood themselves. Mites actually like to live with the brood the most, and mites do occupy a hive just almost yearly, all the time. There's always mites present in the hive, but when in the warm months of spring and early summer, just like every animal, they like to increase their population because the bees are increasing their populations.
Ew, gross.
So they have more brood to lay their eggs into, which is why your mite population increases in the spring and summer. Taking this off. Oh shit.
I've been working out. Excuse me a second.
A lot of beekeepers go ahead and treat their hives yearly on a specific time frame for mites because they don't want to risk overpopulation of mites. In hindsight, I could have probably tested this hive, but I didn't really want to sacrifice the bees that way. So in order to test a hive for mites, you have to take 300, which is about 1.5 cups of bees, but they have to be the nurse bees, the most important bees, the ones that care for the babies, and it has to be from the inner part of the hive. So you have to take 300 of those bees, place them into a basket of sorts, and then put alcohol or a powdered sugar solution on top of them and shake. And then the bees die, obviously. Remove the bees, and you have to see how many mites are left in the solution afterward. Usually a good rule of thumb is less than 1% of those 300 bees, your colony is in pretty good condition. But if you get 2 to 3%, which is literally like 4 to 5 mites in your 300 bees, then you should probably watch the colony really closely. If you have 3% or more, which is just 9 mites in your half a cup of bees, then you should probably treat the bees. So instead of sacrificing, that one wasn't happy.
A few moments later.
Okay, so instead of sacrificing 300 nurse bees, what I decided to do was just go ahead and treat my other hive, which I have here, for mites, because I lost this one to mites. So unfortunately, I should have tested the colony for mites, or just treated them on an annual schedule. So that's what I plan to do. Treat them on an annual schedule. So there's lots of ways to treat for mites. There's organic ways. There's organic chemicals. There's regular chemicals. And then there's things like thyme and stuff like that that are more natural ways of people believe that you can treat your hive with. I chose an organic chemical, which I treated that hive with. And I have another video of just placing the chemical on the innermost box, and then it lasts for about a 10-day treatment. It is really aromatic. It smells really strong.
Some normal behavior after you install the mite treatment may include increased bearding of the bees in the evening time, increased activity at the entrance, fanning to increase the ventilation in their house, because their house no longer smells like their house. You may also notice some undertaker bees removing a few dead bees from the hive. You may notice mites, dead mites in the base of the hive. And you may also notice a few dead bees on the outside of her at the grass level. This should not be alarming. Maybe only a couple hundred or less than 100 dead bees should be there. The bees will be agitated for a few days, but their behavior will pretty much return to normal.
Mites. Act like you always got them. You can either test, but I would just annually treat your hives for mites. There's always a mite population, but they explode in the spring and summer, so just go ahead and treat at those times. Also, the 4 signs of knowing that you have mites: spotty brood pattern, wing issues and deformities of your bees, undertaker bees dragging out your larva and other brood that you can see coming out the front entrance of your hive, and pinholes in your brood pattern, in your brood. Pinholes in your brood.